All right, guys, this is Comics Cast. You're on with myself, Joe Tolliver. We're gonna have Jason Flowers on in just a minute. I want to show you guys his Kickstarter that he's on right now with Bounty Bullfrog. The second one, it's already doing great. I think it it definitely was a success within I think it was like 24 hours. So fantastic news for him. We're on with the Process Show. The whole reason for this show is to show you guys specific techniques that can improve your art game, that can improve your production game for your comic, how to go about running Kickstarters, how to go about writing scripts, how to make a comic, how to draw a little bit better. So today we're going to talk about specifically what Jason Flowers is ink wash. So an advanced technique that's very, very cool. It's one of the things that I love to do. I love ink washing. He's a master at it. He's been published in multiple books, but he's also done, I want to say, 3 comics of his own. So this is his second Bounty Bullfrog. So let me, I'm going to share up his, I'm going to share my screen real quick. Sorry, I had a little technical difficulty right before the show aired, so I had to redo everything. Let's bring this up. I want to show you guys his campaign. It looks awesome. Let me just go ahead and bring this all the way up. Boom. All right, guys. So that was the Bounty Bullfrog, the second chapter, coming to you guys on the video. Let me bring in Jason Flowers now. Good friend of mine, good friend of the channel. Whenever I get a chance to work with him, I always enjoy it. And don't forget, on our YouTube channel, you can he's done it Inside the Indie Studio, so you can learn all about him on that. So swing by there. If you're watching us from YouTube, go ahead and hit a share, subscribe. Let us know what you guys think about it. Until then, boom, let me bring him in. All right. Hey, Jason.
Hey.
All right. Yeah, no, of course. Thanks for coming on. We talked earlier in the week, and he was like, yeah, totally. I knew your campaign was, I think you want to say it's 5 days left now, or how many days you got now left? It's coming up, though. It's coming up.
I want to say 5, but yeah, don't hold me to that.
All right, Said says hi. Roy says sup. Love his first book. Said, did you get the first book, Said? I hope you did. Let's see. Allison says hello, Allison. All right, I'm here to watch while I work on a project. Of course you are, because you're always working, killing it. Might not be able to comment much. It's okay. It's not gonna hurt. It's okay. Yeah, of course. I mean, ask during the show. Ask away. Hey, Gerald says, yo, hey, so Jason, Gerald. Joe, Jason is the ink wash master. He says the Bounty Bullfrog rules, the process rocks. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Gerald's great. He's been killing it on his Let It Out show, which is tomorrow. All right, boom. Sai just said backed it. Boom, just
awesome.
Like that.
Thank you.
I didn't even put a link in. Sai was all over it, man. Thanks, Sai. All right, so for all the people that are new to the channel that don't know Jason, go ahead and just give us a 30-second who is Jason and why are you so freaking awesome at life speech.
Okay,
I'll give you 1 minute. You can have a minute.
Okay. So my name's Jason Flowers. I make my own comics. I've been published with IDW, Aftershock, Arcana, Caliber Comics. I mainly make my own comics too. I've done sketch cards for like Tops and Upper Deck. I love to draw, and I've always wanted to draw comics as a kid, and I get to do that for a living, thankfully. So that's it pretty much. Kickstarters have been really helping make that dream more of a reality lately, and so I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, man. All right. So Kickstarters have made it a reality. Let's talk about your Kickstarter you're on right now, just to take a second before we get into the ink wash. Guys, ask questions about ink wash techniques. If you want to learn how to ink, we'll address them directly during the show. I'm sure Jason knows it. I know some, but I'm not as clairvoyant as Jason is. So ask the questions. His ink wash is better than his rigs. He does make his rigs at home. These are all homemade, so you got to live with it. That's how it goes in the indie circuit.
And you got to do what you can, right?
You got to do what you can. All right, let me.
This is the stuff you usually don't see behind the scenes. So
yeah. Oh, talking about behind the scenes. So as you guys may not know, he also has a Turtle Tuesday, right?
Yes.
Every Turtle Tuesday. And if you're really great about, if you don't do it, you're like, hey, it's gonna be an hour later, or it'll be Wednesday or Thursday. So there's always good comms about that. So I appreciate you doing that. So looking at this, 64 backers as of right now. And 5 days to go according to this. This is the internet, so it's accurate. And you are now
this Thursday at like 10 p.m.
Okay, Thursday at 10 p.m. Now, when we're going through this thing, I know we're not going to take a long time, but I want to make sure people see this. If you just search on Kickstarter Bounty Bullfrog, you'll find it. Guys, you don't have to stay here. If you want to back it, back it. It's not going to hurt my feelings if this thing drops to 0 views and everybody's out backing it. That's what this is about. So taking care of indie creators. I know that you have a couple of things that are coming up if you get to the next tier. So what's like the next tier that people will get? Well, actually, let's talk about the tiers that people get right now and what they'll get if they get to the next tier.
So I've got, I wasn't planning on it, but I ended up getting like 9 covers for this issue. And
nice.
What had happened was I just had a bunch of comic friends come out and just go, can I draw you a cover? And I was like, yes. And I did hire Jim Lawson and Chris Vance. So Jim Lawson is a extremely well-known Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic book artist. He's worked on the series probably the longest that I know of, and he created the Rat King, just tons of characters, and he's like one of my favorite artists growing up. So I got him to do a cover for the first issue, and if you scroll down, you can see some more. These are pages from the actual first issue. They kind of like recap and kind of make people,
I mean, they're just so clean.
What it looks like,
I remember seeing this cover here, and I was just like blown away. I was like, "That is so." It kind of had like that Aquaman feel to it, so it just it got me. It just got me in love with the character even more. But yeah, so these are the old. This is the chapter 1.
So those black and white pages are pages that are from the first one is about Battletoads homage cover to the Battletoads video game, which is like one of my favorites growing up.
Oh,
and
yeah.
The first 3 pages after that are the first 3 pages to the second issue. So it's kind of like a little taste to people to kind of see what they're going to be getting into and what's going on.
Well, I'm gonna bring in some questions from the field here, from the comment line. We are gonna be talking about ink wash. So go ahead and ask those questions. But if you have questions like these, go ahead and ask them. Curious about from an artist point of view, what do you look for in writing? Now, Jason, you write your own stories as well, right?
Correct. It's one of those things where like I always feel like I can get by with writing. I'm not like the strongest, like I'm not like a Neil Gaiman, but I mean, I feel like I could do well enough to tell the story. And that's the main thing you want to convey is just like what you're trying to get across and what you're trying to do. And so I draw from everything, like movies, comics, toys, video games.
Oh yeah.
whatever like I love so much, I just try to like almost like eat it all up and then just regurgitate it into this like new creative like crazy thing. So
Well, I mean, yes, that's all 100% accurate, but I mean, just looking at some of this artwork too, the being a part of that community that just grew up with that great 90s, early 2000s, 80s characters, the freaking all the turtles number one, just by
yeah,
itself, you can pull so much from that because each genre, well, I don't want to say genre, each platform that the turtles kind of were created in, you can find something different, which is pretty cool. Um, and then obviously pulling, but having the quality of art to back what you're doing, I think is just makes it so easy for consumers to be like, no, he gets it, and he's also putting out great products. So that's why I always love having you on the show. I mean, your stuff is always like just top notch. You are you using the same colors as the first issue?
yes, Jeremy Mendez is the guy who colored right there with the giant beard. I don't think he
Beard
has that
man.
giant beard anymore. I think I used an old photo for this, but
Okay.
um, Andrea, my editor. Andrea works on. He's got his own book, The Shepherd, and he works for Scout Comics, and he edits a lot of their books. And yeah, the variants right there. There's
Yeah.
Alex Ogle. Alex has worked on tons of stuff. He just did a Spider-Man cover that came out.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
and then Andy Dugan right there for that cover. Andy's been published with a ton of stuff. He even has his own book called Blackfin, the Barbarian Shark, which is pretty cool.
Well, this one's waiting on some inks and colors. What's going on
Yeah,
here?
so that's Chris Vance. Chris is a fantastic artist. He's done some turtle stuff for IDW too, some covers, and his work's beautiful. And if
Yeah.
I had enough money to just hire an artist to work on the book, to just draw a story for me, Chris would be like at the very top because his work is fantastic. But he's running a little behind. It's my fault for like last minute kind of, hey, can you do this? So
Right.
but yeah, so those are the tight color, the tight pencils to it. He's inking it right now, and then so it'll be ready. And if you back the Kickstarter, you get updates constantly from me. So I will update everyone with his inks and then the colors to his cover, and
Okay.
I know it's going to be beautiful. So it's
So
already.
James is I mean, you could almost put this out probably with just a little bit of maybe getting inks on it, and it would
Oh
be
yeah.
fire.
Oh yeah.
It's fire right now. But it shows the power of inks, it shows the powers of color. Because this by itself is phenomenal, but then you get those layers and that mood that you get from the colors,
Yeah.
which is a lot of fun. All right, so James Oliver asks, how many issues do you have planned for Bounty?
So with Bounty, it's one of those things. So this story arc is looking to be around 5 or 6 issues.
Sorry, I'm having too much fun.
Yeah,
Go ahead. 5
we're
or
gonna
6 issues.
do we're
I'm
gonna
not
do
ignoring you.
the first 3 issues, and then I'm kind of doing like a the way they did with Ninja Turtles was they did like the first like 5 or 6 issues, and then they went off and did like what are called like micro series issues with the
Okay.
characters. So each character got their own little micro series. So at the end of issue 3, an important character comes into play who like really opens up Bounty's history, so to speak. So we meet her at the end of issue 3, and then she'll have her own standalone story that I'll Kickstarter. And then once like the way that issue ends, it goes directly back into issue for what's going to happen for issue 4 of Bounty. So Bounty is going to be like 6 issues plus the Emery. So Emery one shot. So
I like her style. This is pretty cool.
yes, she's fantastic. She's worked on several covers too for like I think she's done like a Fathom cover, and she's done some like Aftershock stuff too.
That's clean. This
And there's
looks Jim Lawson. I
yeah,
didn't know he did a cover for you. That's awesome.
yeah. So that's the Jim Lawson variant.
Nice.
I got him to do one for issue 1 also. So I think we're probably just gonna expect a new cover from Jim each issue. So as long as
Yeah.
so
Wow, that's pretty awesome. That's just cool all by itself. The full circle of love and respect, I think, is just so cool. Growing up, being a fan, and getting that content in.
yeah,
Um,
never would have thought that.
Yeah. So, I mean, how did I not know that? I feel like I'm not reading enough people's social media posts. I'm just too
It's
busy.
hard. There's too many people to keep up with. So many
Yeah,
people.
the whole 5,000 I have that
Well,
I know for a fact that I probably only get on maybe 100 of their pages. I need to
the way the
educate myself.
algorithms are now, like
Yeah.
if you're following too many of the same people, then that's all you're going to see. You're not going to see anyone else. So
Let's see here. All right. So how many of these have we knocked out so far?
again, that's pretty much it. The only thing other than that is
These are all
the
the different.
sketch
Oh, okay.
cover. There's a blank sketch cover variant, and then there's a variant for the wraparound first issue cover or the second issue cover that I did in black and white with just the ink wash. So a lot of people ask to see, like, they would love to have issue 1 done just in black and white, just to see the inks and the ink wash. And when we get the camera on for the sketch, I was going to show a couple pages. So
all right, let me pop out of here. I'll bring your camera up. All right, guys, just make sure you guys are asking your questions. I'll be asking as we go through, but this is your chance to ask all kinds of sweet questions about ink wash, his style. And Jason's just, he's going to knock this out. Now, listen, we're at 20 minutes in, okay? So this is an hour show.
All right.
So we keep it pretty fast and loose. This is all live. So if there's a mistake that happens or my camera goes off or whatever, it's all live. We do it live. So too easy. But ask questions, guys. I will be rolling through. I'm going to pull up this. I'm going to make your video, your camera video full screen. So you can show whatever it is that now these are original pages that are part of the campaign.
So these are original pages from issue 1.
Okay.
So, and I wanted to show these because these have the ink wash. And so, yeah, I will be doing a black and white version of the book so people can see the amount of ink wash. But there's a lot of depth to them, too, that I don't know if the camera's really getting.
I think, I'm seeing it here. It's looking great. Now, are these for sale through? I know some of the original art was from sale through your Kickstarter. Are you putting some of your original pages up?
So, yeah, I put up about like 8 to 10 pages. I'll put up on the Kickstarter, each Kickstarter. So these are pages that no one grabbed from the first one.
Okay.
But, yeah, these are still available too. So
yeah, I love it.
But see, you can see like little flicks. I can't really see it too well in there, but there's like little flicks of ink and wash, and just it's all about layering with ink wash. It's almost like watercoloring.
All right. Well, we're starting to get questions about what equipment you're using, so I think we're going to see that in just a minute there, James. Yeah. About what pen you use, what brushes are you going to be using. Yeah, that looks. I love the way you use ink wash to create those layers of depth too. Like the ink wash that you have on the vehicle is different than the one underneath, as well as different. It's slightly different, it looks like, than the shadow created, which was really cool. I like that you put those shadows in there right underneath those claws. But yeah, oh, look at that. That's all done on page, right? There's no digital element on this.
Yeah,
this is all brush.
What I do is I do everything by hand because I love the feel of touching the art and being part of it. But I will scan it, and I will like darken certain areas that if the scanner didn't grab those
right
images properly, I can kind of go back and scan them a little bit. So
perfect.
But yep, that's all I wanted to show. Kind of give that idea of understanding of how the pages look and what I do with them. So
okay, I'm gonna flip this around so you guys are on the top and I'm just hanging out down here. John Ottinger's loving your art.
Thanks, John.
So cool. John's got his own book series that we've featured on the show before. Well, not this show, but one of our shows. All right, so we've got Bounty Bullfrog sitting here hanging out. and I'm sure that's a e-cigarette because they are slightly better for you. And we're not promoting smoking on Comics Guy.
Well,
We are not affiliated with Jason Flowers in any way.
so yeah, that's the one of the things. It's crazy because like I grew up reading, like Lobo and Wolverine and like even Fantastic Four with the Thing, like Ben Grimm. Like they all smoked cigars. Like they would always have a giant cigar in their mouth, and so that's like my paying homage to those characters growing up was just having a cigar. But like now, like a lot of that you don't see in comics, and even like when doing sketch cards, like the rules.
If anyone knows anything about sketch cards, there's like how many rules about how you can draw people. It's like they have to be in this costume.
Yeah,
they're not allowed to look like this person. They can't be. Oh, I love the one where you get to draw Punisher, but you can't draw weapons. It's like
yes.
How do we draw Punisher without a gun?
Unrealistic weapons is what they say. So it's just like okay.
So it's got to be like image guns, where they're just like these giant laser, like vacuum cleaner weapons. All right. So what's your technique? All right. So we already put down the pencils because they're just in the interest of time.
Yeah. So I just use just a regular HD lead. I honestly don't even know what kind of lead it is, but this is like it's a really sturdy, nice pencil. I don't even know what brand. I think it's already like rubbed off, but I mean it's probably like a $20-$30 pencil, but it like holds the lead pretty well. And I use that. I since I ink myself, I do really rough pencils. So everything like you're seeing right now, this is as far as I go with my pencils. But as far as inks, I use microns. I think we all kind of use microns. I love these super cheap pens that I find from like the dollar store. Like they're just 5.5 gel pens. So I use them on everything. I also have a Pentel brush pen. So the Pentel brush pen is for my heavy inks and my dark spots. And then I think this is a Uniball Signo.
I can't make those work to save my life.
It's like a mix. Sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. But when they do, they're beautiful. And for the backups, I use these, the Posca.
Oh, yeah.
Am I saying that right? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the ones that Jim Lee uses. He used those.
These work really nice, and these come with an assortment of like tips. So this is like a really thick tip, but they have a sharp, fine point tip too. My only dislike is these run out like super fast. Like they don't ever last, at least for me. Like they're gone in a matter of a couple of pages. And then
Syed is wondering what you use to sign your work with. Are you just using a brush, or are you going with a pen?
It just depends. Sometimes I switch back and forth for a long time. For like years, I just used brush pen to ink everything, and then I would sign that way too. Now I kind of mix it up where I use like really fine lines, and then I go back and I just kind of highlight those, and then I use the brush pen to kind of bring out line weights where I need. It's one of those things where it's whatever works for you and like whatever you feel comfortable with. And then I use there we go.
The Black Star. That's good. I haven't used that. That looks interesting.
High carb. So this gets like really rich blacks, and I use this and I just pour it into like a little like cup or old medicine bottle, and I literally just fill it up halfway, and I add water, and I mix that together, and I do a couple test sheets on paper to kind of make sure it gives me what I want, and then that's my ink wash, and that's how I use my ink wash.
See, that's how you keep it consistent. I was always doing it like separately. I would just dip it in water, and then like, oh, no wonder. That makes sense.
So like I said, like I mean, this thing's pretty thick and it's pretty big. So what I do is like I just make enough to where like it's gonna last me several years or several projects. Just depending on what I'm using it for. But
right. Okay.
Get a little
too easy.
Test sample there. But yeah, I'll do this where I just put it out, and then if I feel like the wash is too light, then I'll couple more drops of ink, or if it's too dark, then I'll add more water. And just find that consistency where I look at it and go and let it dry and decide that if I wanted to go darker, then I could just layer it some more. And if it's too dark, then I'm gonna have to like bring in more water to dilute it, because I won't be able to add layers and depth to it. So the more it dries, the more I can like add water on to it to create more depth. But yeah, that's just how it rolls.
Talking about your brushes real quick, because we did talk about your pens and then your physical like brushes. What about your actual like paint brushes? Do you just use those sometimes, or are you using those refill brushes a lot?
I use this water one. Like you're supposed to put water in it, I guess, but I usually just, or I've seen people put like ink wash in this and just use it. I always have the problem where when I put ink wash in it, I think the ink kind of gunks it up, so it can't filter out. So I just use it as like a dipping pen instead. So I'll just pull it out and I'll dip and then do my line work that way. If I've got like a big page, something like this, I'll take a brush and I'll like, and this is something simple. Like seriously, I bought like a pack from Michael's that was like, I think $7, and you got like an assortment of different edges and wedges of brushes. And I tend to like the wedged brush where it's cut sideways like that. And that seems to really give me more room to do large spaces, but then I can turn it sideways and get those like fine lines if I need to. But yeah, I don't really use, I mean, it's just simple, cheap stuff for me, honestly. And it's more about like how you use it than what you use.
Right. That's always one of my concerns is I get frustrated with my brushes sometimes because I can't get like the fine lines and stuff or whatever. So I end up thinking it's the brush's fault, and it's really not.
Well, I mean, sometimes it is. I will admit, sometimes it is. If you've got an old brush or something. Sorry, I can't see me. If you've got like a really old brush and you're trying to use it, and it might be like you didn't use it properly, or it's just been overused, and you see how this one's got all like, I don't know the technical term for it, but
frayed. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. So it just looks really messed up. But,
yeah,
you can still hold ink pretty well once I have it on there, and that still does it. So as long as it still works like that for me, then I can use it. But there are those certain brushes or like I have a brush pen that just the tip of it just will not work properly. So you just got to let it go. So I have one of those where I put like a sheet of paper on it. Well, I put the blue on here because this is my newest one, so I know that this is the newest one, but this is the old one I was using. And this is one of those where it looks fine right now, but I swear to God, like the second I start using it, it's going to mess up on me. So I try just using it if I need to fill in like big spaces because I don't want to let it go. So
right.
But yeah, I just use an assortment of stuff. Here's one of those. I think this is the Japanese Pentel.
Yeah, I had those things for the longest time. I really liked those.
It's really nice. This one's got like a really sharp, like fine point to it, and I like to use that if I'm trying to get real fine details. But
I can't remember. Can you refill those, or once they're out?
Yeah, so it's got like it twists off once it's done. Like this is the whole cartridge,
I
and
see.
it just twists right off, and then you throw this away, and you open a new.
Oh, you just get a new cartridge. Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah, and it just slides back in.
All right, so we got about 30 minutes. Let's get into
let's do this.
Let's do it. All right, ask questions, guys. This is a how to learn segment with the process. We're getting Jason Flowers. If you're just now with us, we're hanging out with Jason Flowers. He's the Bounty Bullfrog owner, IP, creator, writer, artist, pencil inker. He works with one creator to do the coloring of his books as of right now, and we're going to learn the ink wash technique that he uses. And we're just going to go into it right now. We just basically finished talking about the pens and brushes, and we didn't talk about the paper, but let's just jump in this, and I'll I'll pick your brain on paper as we go. Ask questions, guys. We'll bring it up into the comments into the show, and we'll get them answered. But yeah, let's learn some ink wash. The process from Jason Flowers. I overly dramatized that, and I totally didn't work. All right, moving on.
This is what I use.
Bristol board,
real quick. Strathmore Bristol Smooth. I like the Smooth. The Smooth has more of a smearing ability, though. So if you don't like, inking and then you see it smooth, like smudge on you, and you're like, ugh, that used to bother the heck out of me. But I learned to just embrace that since my style is kind of gritty already. Like I just use it to kind of smear with it. So sometimes I'll purposely smear to kind of give the piece more depth. But I buy the giant sizes that are 19 by 24. And I just cut those down and into 9 by 12s, and I get more paper out of it for the money.
Yeah, that's smart.
But if you don't have a paper cutter and you don't want to do that, then you can go online, go to Michael's. You can go to I go to dickblick.com, and they usually have good paper cells. And that's how I get a lot of that. So I just buy it in bulk, the giant sheets, because I think you get you get like 20 giant sheets, and then
considering how much you're doing regularly,
right.
Now, what are you doing for the for your pages for your comic? What pages? What paper do you use for that?
I use the same. So that's the beauty of it, is I've got those so big that I can cut them any size I want. So I actually have a little sheet right here on the side that I keep, so I can show me, like, all right, I can get 2 11 by 17s out of a 19 by 24. So out of a 20 sheet pad, I can get 40 sheets of 11 by 17, which is
right
for me. And then
sorry to ask that. How does the paper affect it? Heck yeah, it does. Big time.
Say it again.
So he was saying that it was a question in a form of a statement, but also a question. So paper type affects the type of art.
Oh yeah,
yeah, big time.
Yeah. A lot of people like if you're using a lot of brush and stuff like that, vellum. A lot of people like the vellum because it has more of a grit texture to the paper, as opposed to, like, this feels like a regular, like, typing paper kind of almost.
Yeah,
but it's just a lot thicker. Definitely some thickness to this paper.
Yeah,
it really helps when you're trying to draw. But again, that's the thing here, is you don't have to, nothing says you have to use this type of paper or that type of paper, unless you're trying to get a certain thing, like water. If you're watercoloring and you want to use watercolor paper, it's probably going to look a lot better. I also like to use this paper because of the way that it works with the ink wash. For some reason, it like really gives it a really cool style, and it almost like helps create this weird texturing on the ink too. I think this pen just died on me. Yep, I'm out.
Just like that.
But again, these are cheap pens.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, if you're watching from YouTube, I'll go ahead and pull this up. I asked because I want to understand the artist's work from writer's perspective. Yes, of course. Yeah, the biggest thing is whatever the artist is like comfortable with. Different paper absorbs inks differently, markers differently. Kind of, however, if they're more of a traditional artist, if they just want to do pencils, they have a little bit more flexibility. But even then, I mean, I always go towards this paper. I love Bristol. It's just one of my favorites to do almost anything with. But it does get expensive, and I like your little hack, Jason, because you can buy them in bulk and then cut them down. That's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, if you are buying or using a lot of Bristol board, it's probably like the best way to do it. I mean, you're having to spend a little more time sitting there. Like, I can't tell you how many times I'm sitting there just cutting paper down, and I'm just like, this is my life right now, just cutting paper down.
It's where you recruit your family members to just cut paper.
Oh, no. Well, and that's one of those things where, like, I always feel weird. Like, I'm a little controlling with my art. So
Oh
if
yeah, you can't. Yeah, if a paper's not 100% perfect, you're like,
uh,
no,
I
no.
don't, I'd rather me be the one that messes it up than worrying that my family. Plus, that's
Of course.
involving them in terms of thinking that they're gonna want to do that. So I'm like, hey, can you cut me some paper down? And look at me like, are you serious right now? Like, I don't want to cut paper.
Oh yeah, I get that a lot. I'm like, really? I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Like, I need your help. I do a lot of, hey, can you stand in this pose, or can you take a picture of me while I stand in this pose? And then the pose that the camera angle's never quite right, and then I'm getting frustrated. They're like, "What do you want from me?"
Yeah, it's my wife used to do it for me where she'd take pictures and I would just be like, yeah, sorry, great. So this is like I would literally sketch out like little doodles. So
Yeah,
like it'd
I
just be
like that.
little
That's a good idea.
stickmen and I'd just be like, this is the pose I'm gonna do, and this is the angle I'm trying to get you to do it. And then that made it so much easier for her to understand like my vision
Hmm.
of where I was going with this. Again, I do not endorse smoking. I don't even smoke. So like I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, I don't do any of that shit. But like, oops, sorry.
A curse.
I don't use any of that stuff. But I love characters that do. I don't know why. I just, but again, I grew up with that. So I grew up watching them like looking all hard and tough and mean. You have to do the like the tough man voice when you do that too.
Yeah, you got to do the Wolverine.
Yeah.
I don't care about anybody or anything, but I'm super depressed all the time because I don't have any real friends.
I just want to dance.
I just want to dance. Yeah, let me answer Syed's question. Syed, Joe, how do you go gain followers for Facebook page for a limited budget to begin with? So, I actually, my Facebook page exploded, um, interestingly enough, years ago before I even started Comics Cast, just because I was doing art all the time, kind of like how Jason's doing his stuff, where you're doing content that helps other people. I think that's at the end of the day. I would never worry too much about how many followers you have, and think more about what's your benefit to a community. If you can create a benefit for others, then that's how you end up getting um, more followers and more sustained followers, because you're building something that helps other people. So like I was doing a lot of art, but I was doing fan art, things like that, and I'd do live a lot. And so my art page turned into Comics Cast. And then it blew up from there. And then I did advertisements and I paid for it and all that sort of stuff, built it more like a business. But initially, I use the algorithm for what it is. So Facebook's not really like that anymore, where you can just do work and people will either see it or not, and then it'll blow up because more people saw it, more people spoke about it. So it's tricky. I don't have a good answer for Facebook at this point, other than running a good ad. Like, you need good ads that you put work into it, and then have people easily funnel you to your different platforms. I think that's the biggest thing. Um, so like if I was Jason and I wanted to funnel people to his stuff, I would probably highlight your Turtle Tuesdays, your campaign, but do it in a way that when you advertise, it's not just a post with some text on it. Like, you actually have to shoot video and push it out there in the world. Like, there's YouTube Shorts. I think there's Facebook Shorts now. You can tie in your Instagram with your Facebook. So there's a lot of different things you can do. But yeah, the biggest thing is making sure that you're focused on creating consumer content that makes people's lives better somehow, and not worry about the followers, because I don't think that the followers, like, if you want to translate your followers to sales, it doesn't really work that way. You what you need is engaged people that care, and then they'll end up supporting you later on with whatever product that you're putting out there, because your product, again, is more about putting something you love out, not just about getting the dollars put in your bank account. So it all translates to trust and building that community. Anyway, that's all I got for that, Jason. What do you think?
Oh, I absolutely agree. Like I've got almost my capped limit on Facebook where it's like the 5,000. But
Yeah.
honestly, of those people, due to the algorithms, they're not all, the majority of them aren't seeing it. But even of those people who, if they did see my art, only like 10% of those 5,000 literally pay attention to me. And that's the sad part. It's like, yeah, it's almost just like wanting to collect the friends as opposed to caring about what you're doing. But it's just
I
how
don't.
it's going to be.
I think it's a good example of how I came across you. I think I came across you on a super just dumb luck. I think somebody else commented on one of your Turtle Tuesdays, and I was like, "Who's this guy? This is cool." And then I instantly started stalking you. I think it was like, you need to be friends with me immediately. Let me delete 2 people off my Facebook so I can get some space.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I still remember when you came on the show. You were asking about like sketch cards and stuff, right?
Yeah, that was before I had done any sketch cards, and then I picked your brain, and then I went off and did sketch cards like within 2 months. It was pretty awesome. I was like, "Oh,
Awesome.
I just need to know who to talk to."
Yeah, and that's the beauty of the community is like getting that. Sometimes I have to watch out for certain people who I've had people in the past just want to use my knowledge to just better them, and then they just run off, and I never hear from them ever again. And I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. So that's why you were bugging me. But you're definitely not like that at all. Like I was very like worried about it at first. I was like, is this just another like asking for something kind of thing? But no, like reading into your page and the comics cast stuff, and seeing like the community you're trying to build, and just let people see comics and figure out how to do them, and it's really cool. So
Well, if
coming on the
we
show
have,
where I can
yeah, and that kind of goes back to like, you want to build value to a community. Like, we want to be able to make connections like yourselves and other. Like, that's the selfish part of it. We got to build the community where people know who we are. So as we build the next stage, we have friends and allies and people that trust us. So that's number one.
right.
But we're doing 2 other things at the same time. We have to be able to build the community stronger, and however we can do that, and that's right now in this stage where it's all media marketing, it's all about building that up. So that's too easy to do. That's kind of like our wheelhouse. And however we can get people to buy more comics and make you guys, however we can, to make it more successful when you guys are doing your Kickstarters and everything, then everybody grows. And so it was just it's always been a pleasure to do this part of brand building, where we're building the community, but really brand building at this point. So it's been a pleasure this whole time.
Well,
Landon
consistency.
says happy holidays. Thank you, Landon. Appreciate it.
You too. Woohoo! It's crazy. We're already here to the holidays again.
Yeah, I know. I
just feel like this year just started for some reason, but no.
Yeah, does holidays equal, is Thanksgiving like, it basically is a part of the whole holidays sort of launch? Is that considered, like, do we wait until after Halloween to do that? Basically, is that the rule?
Holidays start with Halloween for me. Oh, I love Halloween here. It is Halloween starting September 1st.
Good call.
Through October, but yeah, I guess so.
One of the things I love about seeing people work is that you can watch the greats, Jim Lee and others, like, and when they ink their own work, you can see how quick they are with their initial lines, because you know what, you and others, you'll go in and you're going to clean it up, like, and it's so fast, like, to watch you guys work. The people that know their own lines, they work fast enough. They know that initial line doesn't have to be 100% perfect. And I think that that scares people when they have an ink pen in their hand. They're like, it has to be perfect. I can't erase it. And
yeah, if I could go back and tell myself stuff, certain things, that would definitely be one of them. Is just don't worry about it always having to look perfect, because you just get in that mindset and you just you almost sabotage yourself.
Right.
It's like you look at those pages that you worked on for a month, and then you go back a month later and you're looking at those pages again going, I could do better. And then you redrawing them. So all you're doing is just redrawing the same pages. instead of progressing and learning as you go. And
Like
that's the
some
thing.
new positions or new, yeah. I want to go into how you've learned, fabric and things like that, but I'm gonna try to keep it on ink wash 100%. Um, so right now you're dropping that ink that we looked at earlier, right? The what was it called? What was your black ink that you said came down really nicely?
No, so this is just straight up just from the Pentel brush pen.
Oh, okay, this is the pencil
I
stuff.
use
Okay.
I only use that if I have big heavy spots or mainly my ink wash. The
Okay.
Dr. Martin's um, high carb ink. And when I was inking with a brush back on the day, that's what I would use. But now I just try to find they've made so many more pens accessible with brush tips, like it makes it so much faster than having to sit here and take that ink and just dip, go, go.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
there is that old school way, and there's some people that just love that. And again, that's where it goes back to just whatever you feel comfortable with. There's no right and wrong way to draw. And there's no right and wrong way of using the pen or the brush or the tool.
Do you have any upcoming cons that you're going to be at this year?
So I am
Going
thankfully
to the end of the year, rather.
I'm thankfully done with shows. I just did another show. I think it last week. I think it was last weekend. Wow, I can't remember things, but that was my last one for the year. Next year, I've got a couple planned. Again, I'm trying to focus mainly just being at home and being with my family, but also trying to just work on comics. And so I do have a couple shows planned, like Dragon Con and MegaCon, but nothing else off the top of my head that I know of.
Dragon Con, is that in Washington D.C.? Is that what that is?
Dragon Con's in Atlanta.
Okay.
I live in Georgia, so
Yeah, I was wondering. That's
yeah.
a big trip.
Yeah, so Dragon Con's in Atlanta. It usually pulls in around almost like 100,000 people per year. Obviously, this past year, for back in September, it's always Labor Day weekend. They, held back a lot of attendance and restricted a lot of things for COVID issues, but it was still a good show. I was surprised at the amount of people that did come out, but.
Do you think that the ink wash is a technique that you can use at shows that separate you? If somebody was thinking, "Hey, what should I do at a con?" like as a way of making myself stand out. Have you done a lot of ink wash like videos at cons, or just like a lot of commissions at cons with your ink wash?
Yeah, I usually stick to just the ink wash at shows. I try not to do because when I do go to shows, I am drawing a lot, so I try to just stick to doing the ink wash commissions because that gives it more time to work on stuff.
Right.
I'm so limited because I'm also trying to run my table by myself, and then I'm talking to people while working on commissions. So I don't do a lot of watercolor commissions. Plus, people come to me for my ink wash style, so I don't know, they're mesmerized by it, I guess.
A lot of people that's seen you before, or like you said, they're mesmerized. So are they seeing you at the con while you're inking and while you're doing your ink wash
I try to make it accessible. Like that's one thing too I try to do when I'm at a show is draw. Like people love walking by, seeing someone drawing. And it also makes them go, "Hey, this is the guy that's actually the artist for this book or this comic or these drawings or this fan art." And so I love what he's doing. I wonder if it's for sale or maybe I can get a commission from him too. And
right.
so it helps make them choose or decide like, hey,
this is where I'm going to drop my money.
Yeah, I'm going to drop my money here because I like what this guy's doing.
I mean, it's always a pleasure being at cons, being on both sides of this. I love seeing artists draw. I love having an opportunity to draw in front of people. But it is, I think there's a lot of artists that start at cons, and the reason why I bring this up is because it's like, I think for me, I always see ink wash as a really great equalizer. If you're, if you're a quick worker and you produce product that's good and solid, but your table's next to somebody who does the coolest Punisher digital artwork you've ever seen, someone might get that print, they might be super happy, but finding a way to make yourself stand out, I think ink wash is definitely one of those great ways to do it. It's just definitely a good technique to do live where people can see you doing it, and you come up with a pretty quick product. And quick not being bad, quick being that you can get good content out, especially at like a con.
Right.
John Ottinger is saying he's loving the shape of your design.
All right,
Love the shape you're designing. Let me just clarify specifically what you say.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that. I know we're limited on time, so I'm done with the ink.
Oh, I know you're flying through now. I'm going to give us an extra 10 minutes because we started a little late, and then I went through your whole sort of world for about 15 minutes there, so I didn't give you enough time to. Maverick is saying amazing work. Thank you, Maverick. Ask questions, guys, if you're looking for a traditional style. Oh, he's saying the black and white shapes. Yeah, of course. Yeah, he's killing it. It really pops when you're thinking about those shapes are important for sure.
Yeah, laying down my inks. If you watch my live streams for my Turtle Tuesday, I try to like let people know what I'm drawing or how I'm doing certain things as I'm doing them. Usually, most of the time, it's just us like just talking about random things or what I've got going on for the week or what I've done or if I've got like a new book coming out or like I just did a cover for Aftershock Comics. That's available for pre-sale on my website. Ooh, right there. JaceFlowersArt.BigCartel.com. And it's a new variant cover for a comic called Maniac New York that I did for a shop exclusive. But I try to just explain, like, for instance, where I'm thinking my light source is and how I want certain parts to be like heavier with the darks and lighter with the light reflecting on it. So
all that being said, I just want to know one thing. What happened? Did you do a cover for the Ronin last book?
I did. So
I couldn't find it anywhere. I was super upset. I went to the comic book store. I couldn't find it. I was super disgruntled about it. They're like, "Who's Jason Flowers?" I was like, "How dare you say that? I will fight you."
So this is my variant cover.
Yeah.
This is like
that was the first one, right?
Yeah. So there's store exclusives that you can get done. Certain stores come to me asking for covers, and so they're exclusive just to that shop or something. And I get a certain amount for myself that I can sell, and that's kind of how it is. That's how it was with that Ronin cover. So it was only limited to like I think 300 copies. So it already made it rare to find and hard to find.
Yeah.
And when I did a store signing for the shop, they sold out that morning. So they were sold out online and just sold what copies they had available in the store. But that's the beauty of them is like they're rare, so like they're going to be harder to find. But issue 5 is about to come out next year, and I'm actually finishing up today. I'm finishing up one of my other covers. I've got 2 covers coming out for issue 5. And
all right, so this is so back up real quick because you need to. I think we need to squash this in the bud. All right, so you're doing covers. They sell out quickly. How are we going to get on a waiting list where we pay ahead of time? Can we go to your website for that? Like, where are we going?
So when I get the word that we can announce that the cover is coming out, real quick, first of all, so I want his shirt to be lighter than it is.
Okay.
With his face. So what I do is, if it's still too dark, I'll take like a paper towel and I'll dab it, and it just kind of lightens it up a little bit to where like there's still like a depth of texture to his shirt, but not as dark as his face or his jacket. So, but yeah, just go to my website if it's available. Like I said, right now the Maniac of New York's cover is available, and that's a store exclusive. So I think there's only 300 copies of that. And once those are gone, those are gone.
So what I'm hearing is we need to message you every day. Ask every day if it's available.
Not every day, but yeah, if you watch Turtle Tuesdays, I try to give people time in advance to know, like, hey,
Okay, good.
so we're dropping the cover this week or next week and stuff like that. Kind of.
Well, Saeed is saying he's interested in your variant charges for like posters, or if you do cover variants. I'd say if you don't feel comfortable bringing that up now, just message Jason directly about it.
Yeah, just message me directly. It's one of those things where, like, even I get asked sometimes when I'm at a show, and when you're at a show, you're just your mind's already like bleh, because you've just so much stimulation, and people try to ask you stuff. It's hard. You don't want to give them the wrong quote or misunderstand. So it's easier to just that way you have it in an email or something, and you can just simply reread it. If my brain's kind of fried at the moment from just all the go of a show, then I can kind of read things over, and we can talk shop easier that way.
Maverick is saying he's supporting you in his way by following you on Instagram. He found you on that.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like I want people to know, like, I love the people who have been able to support the Kickstarter or any of my projects. And if you can't, the beauty of social media is it's free to share, it's free to like, it's free to follow, it's free to do all that. Like, you supporting me is yes, buying the book, but if you can't do that, simply sharing the project or following on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or any of the social media stuff is just as good. You know what I mean? Because if you can't, maybe there's someone on your feed that can, and they see your post and they're like, oh, this is really cool. Like, yeah, this looks awesome. I'll head over there and I'll support it.
All right, so we're running at the tail end of this. What are we missing as far as some techniques that you learned early on? I see that you're adding you have the light source, you have the first layer, and you still put in just a hint of a darker layer for keeping that form up. What's the
Sorry, my camera.
I'm trying to ask here. What's some things that you learned about depth that you really sort of incorporate into your ink wash, and how do you go about getting that to work? I imagine it's ink wash is all about drying layers and things like that. So as you figured all that out, like let's dive into some of that real quick as you're laying down your background.
Well, and honestly, that's it. I feel like there should be more to that statement, but it's that simple. Like, it's like anything, learning how to practice, learning, like experimenting is the biggest thing to figuring out what works and what doesn't work. And, there are plenty of things that, I've tried that don't work, and there are plenty of things that I happily accidentally find out. Like, but yeah, with the ink wash, it's just all about like adding ink down, letting it dry, and then like you saw here with his face, just going back in and just kind of like layering and layering and layering until it looks like how you're wanting it to look. And then once you get that, then you just build on that and you just keep practicing it. So, but you pay attention to light sources and how lighting works. And that's as simple as, like, close the blinds to your house and see how it looks, or take your phone to the bathroom, turn off the lights and take a picture in the dark and angle it. And you can see what really stimulates you know, what really lights up and what doesn't, and then you just apply that to your inks. Like, yeah, you figure out where you want to put your light source and apply that with your gray ink wash, and then just play around with techniques afterwards. Like I'll let it dry like this a little bit, and then while it's drying, I'll add some of this splatter. And like I said, the way this paper is made, I don't know how it works, but it really helps accent things and absorbs those spots, and it creates these beautiful textures, and it makes me look good. Like I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I know right now, like especially with the video, it just looks really dark. But if when I take a picture later, you can just, it really pops and just has so much like volume to it and texture. And
Are you gonna put this up for? Is this like on a, like you put this up whenever you do shows or whenever you do Turtle Tuesday? I know that you end up putting those on like your website, and you also put them up for sale. Like during the show, you'll have content out for people to purchase. Like what do you have a plan for this one, or was this just for this show?
This was probably just for the show. But I mean, I guess, yeah, maybe I should try to put it up as like an add-on if you want to buy this and add it to your Kickstarter order kind of thing. And I know since we're limited on time, see, I would go back in and I'd darken in areas, and I'll darken in areas, and I'll take my gel pen and I'll pop a couple lines and that kind of thing. But
I mean, but this is pretty much it with a little bit of cleaning up, right?
Yeah, it looks harder than it is, honestly. It's simple. It's
Right.
just like you dab it, you just, and
Well,
just playing around with how lighting really will help you when you are doing your ink wash.
well, I mean, we're seeing so many other things that are outside of ink wash with this piece. Like you're talking about lighting, you're talking about paper, you're talking about understanding folds, understanding character, you're understanding depth. Like I think one of the biggest things that people have issues with there early on is they don't understand 3D shapes.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing is,
and again, all that's from practice. Like just practice. Like I can't tell you a secret code that you type in that makes it faster for you. Like that's all about practicing yourself and figuring it out, because everyone figures things out differently and faster and slower, and so it depends on you as the person drawing.
All right, so we are at 11:06. This is what we're gonna do. Great work, number one. Thank you for being on the show, number two. This was The Process with Jason Flowers, talking about Bounty Bullfrog number 2. That's out right now on Kickstarter. We talked about ink wash. So this is what we're gonna do. I am gonna say thank you guys for being on. Thank you guys for watching, asking questions. Syed, you were great. That's the first book.
Yeah, so this is the first copy. This is the first issue.
Looks great. And you still have copies where if they wanted to get one from your website, they'd be able to purchase it?
Yeah, if you're looking to grab issue 2 and you're like, oh man, well I missed issue 1, there is an option on the Kickstarter where you can grab both books. So.
Perfect. All right. So number one, we are, just to finish up on my end, we are on tomorrow Comics Cast with Let It Out with Gerald and Rick. So you guys can meet them there. That'll be at 10 o'clock tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm going to wrap up my portion of this. I'm going to make it so Jason can be all by himself on the camera. So I'm going to solo out just one more time. You guys can see this ink wash. Bounty Bullfrog looked great. Thank you for being on the show. I'm going to eliminate this. I'm going to remove him. I'm going to remove myself. And this is what I need you to do. If you've seen any of the Process show, you probably haven't. It's a new show. This is where you're going to have about 30 to 40 seconds to have your last hoorah, kind of explain what you want to say. And then at the end, I want you to say your name, point at the camera and say you've been processed. Can you do that? And then I'll close the show out.
You've been processed. All right.
Yeah, you got to be very dramatic.
All right. Again, Jason Flowers. My comic on Kickstarter right now is Bounty Bullfrog number 2. It has 5 days left, so you still have 5 days to go grab a copy of issue 2 or issue 1 if you missed it. There's a tier option on there. Other than that, you can find me at jasonflowersart.bigcartel.com for my online stuff, or I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr. I've got a blog, and it's just Jason Flowers Art. And again, this is Jason Flowers, and you've been processed.